Welcome everyone to Manifest Clients Now, amplify your confidence and get booked in any economy. I am your resident host and business coach, Kadidja Yansane. And today I am thrilled to welcome Sigrid de Cast to our series. Welcome, Sigrid.
Hello, thank you, Kadidja.
Thank you for being here. Sigrid de Cast is a book writing and marketing specialist who's been in business and marketing since the days of physical scissors and glue. They were used for cut and paste. And she knows from personally writing and publishing 3 books that you can see right behind her that the power a book has in building your personal brand. So we are going to be diving into this topic about why you need to write your book no matter what's happening in the economy and how effective it is for client creation. So thank you, Sigrid. So tell us the names of your 3 books that I see behind you.
So I started initially with one all about how to get your staff, your team together, how to find the right people for your business, and how to then work with your team and have them do what you like them to do. That was initially my way of getting from retail businesses, which I owned previously, into consulting. And that was my first experience of how powerful a book can be to really elevate yourself into a personal brand, to show your expertise. And after that, I discovered that a lot of these businesses I was working with had no marketing in place. I started my marketing agency, and the next one, the secret of marketing a business like yours, was all around my looking at marketing your business in a big picture way where everything is interwoven, intertwined. And I loved that. I did that for many years. And from that marketing agency, I then went into build a business with your book, or build a book to build your business. And that is really what I promote and what I help coaches and consultants with now.
Beautiful. So you help them grow their business by writing a book.
Absolutely.
And before we dive into that, can you tell me how you were inspired to even write the first book? Like what made you do that in the first place?
Look, it really was that I wanted to get away from the retail environment. I've been in retail, marketing my retail businesses, working in retail for many, many years. I did enjoy it at the time, but I thought, no, it's time for me to do something different. And I heard all these business owners around me talk about, we have trouble with finding people in our business, and you, Sigrid, are doing so well. You've got these wonderful people working for you. I thought, how can I get, without formal qualifications, I know what I know, it's working, I've done it for years. How can I get into becoming a consultant? And the book was the answer. The moment you have a book to your name, you are automatically seen that you must know what you're talking about, because you made the time to write an entire book and put your knowledge and your expertise and experience into it. That is how I got into that initial first writing of my book.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And it's so true. I mean, even seeing the books behind you there, it's like, wow, they definitely establish your credibility. So what would you say are the biggest, misconceptions that people have around writing a book?
Oh, that is so sad when I see people think that it's going to take them months or years to write a book. It really does not. I have proven that you can, even as quickly as 3 weeks, put your book together, because you're writing about your expertise, something that you do know. It's a huge myth and misunderstanding that it has to take a long time. And particularly, of course, the framework that I have established now is all about the pre-planning. Before you start your writing, you're planning it. So you're writing to a plan. It's a huge misunderstanding. The other one, of course, is different ideas around publishing. How do I publish? Do I need a publisher? Can I publish it myself? So a lot of misunderstanding around that, because the world has changed. The world of publishing is so different today. We have this opportunity. Everyone has this opportunity to publish your book yourself and have a marketing plan ready with it. So a big misunderstanding that is something you need to, find and be accepted, and, have this key, this door opened by the publisher for you to get into it. No, you can do that quite yourself. And those are really big misunderstandings and myths out there.
Did you self-publish your 3 books?
I certainly did, yes.
I love that. And it's so true. I mean, so the 2 things that you listed, one is thinking that it's going to take a long time, which I think people seem to have that around so many things around entrepreneurship, that marketing is going to take a long time, that getting clients is going to take a long time, that writing a book is going to take a long time. So how do you go about shifting that perspective for people that it actually can be sooner than they think? And you said as soon as 3 weeks in terms of establishing a plan.
Look, because I have got 3 books now, I've learned with each one, and I've made sure from my whole background of marketing and having had businesses in different industries, I know how important planning is. So the first thing you do, or within my framework certainly, is that we plan what it is that you would like to achieve by having a book. And that is the most important component, because by knowing that, we can very quickly create that framework as to what needs to go into your book, what you need to write about. And when we have that mapped out, then you will know roughly how much you have to write. So whether you use existing content, whether you use new content that you're writing, you have this very defined area, this very defined chapter by chapter. You know roughly how many words you need to write. So it doesn't take very long.
Beautiful. I love that. And then the second thing you talked about was the self-publishing route versus going the traditional publishing route. I know oftentimes people feel like there's something about being published by, a big publishing house that maybe feels more weighty or substantial. Like, what do you say? Like, why do you feel like, especially if it's your first book, that self-publishing is the route to go?
Look, the way publishing has evolved from early days, now it goes right back to, when the first scribes were doing the papyrus, scrolls in those days. What was it all about? It was about that the writing was done by the learned, but the information came from those that had that knowledge. So it was made to be that the publisher was kind of the gatekeeper. Are you a learned person? Are you valuable enough to be published? That is the sort of, that has hung over from those early days, that the publisher gives you that status. Yes, we publish you, we are the publishing house, but that has shifted with technology, with the world we're living in. We are across the globe available and able to talk and connect with each other and help each other.
Yeah.
So that has shifted. It is no longer that way, but a lot of people hang on to that. And of course, that sort of branding has been created over many, many centuries, that you have to, you have to be knowledgeable to be able to be published. You have that knowledge today. Everybody, these lovely women out there, these entrepreneurial ladies today have so much to give and share. Publish it yourself. You have the value, is what I say.
That's such an empowering message. I mean, I think one of the things that's so beautiful too about, being a coach, healer, guide, just what you said, where in the past you had to wait for doors to be open for you, that you have the opportunity to create and open doors for yourself. So I love that. Can you share what kinds of doors have opened up for you since writing your 3 books?
Look, initially, I have used each one of my book to go into a particular industry, a particular niche area. As I said, the first one was all about becoming a consultant. I had no formal qualifications. My book gave me the qualification to say, this is what I know, here we go. I was able to straight away, with that first published book, get $25,000 in contracts within the first week of having published that book. So that was an enormous amount of door opening and return on my investment of time and money initially, even though I didn't know exactly what I was doing. So I've learned from that. And, that's one of the reasons why I love helping women, entrepreneurial women now, to do the same. The next book helped me to internationally open doors. With my secret of marketing a business like yours, I did a lot of international travel at the time, and I was able to share my knowledge and my ideas around marketing a specific business in a specific way by having that book with me, or by having people being able to download it on Amazon wherever I went internationally. So it was a really great way of getting myself established on the international sphere with businesses. And the third one, I am describing in quite a lot of detail, how this works, what my framework is about. Obviously, I keep improving on it as I go along. But that latest one, I do know of a number of coaches who have come to me for help, and they have read my book, and they have actually established themselves helping their coaching clients with writing or preparing to write a book. So there's a lot of information in there as well. And I've really moved into that area now because, as I said, I think women have so much to give, and a lot of areas where we hesitate, where we doubt, where we think, is this really something I can talk about? Do I have enough information to share? Yes, you do.
I love that vote of confidence. And I heard you say that part of what's so powerful about writing your book is how you get clearer on your own ideas and increase your confidence in what it is your expertise is. Why do you think a book really does that for a person?
And the way I go about it when people work with me is that we look at the entire business. We're not just looking at the idea of the book. I like to take you further into your business, into your expertise and your experience. And as people go through that and we explore that with questioning that I do, why do you want to write it? What is behind your thought about that? You want to help people, but what does that mean for you? How are you going to help yourself? And by helping yourself, how are you helping these people? What that creates is their own realization of how much value they have to give. And that confidence just keeps growing as we go through that process of not only the writing, but first of all, the planning of it and digging into what they already know that they haven't really realized or put to the forefront of their own mind. The confidence grows and they are excited not only to write, but to share what they have created.
Yeah, I can absolutely hear your passion for this topic. And I know that you feel that, writing a book is the single most powerful way to set yourself apart. And I'm curious for you, like, I know there are other strategies. Why do you think a book is even, supersedes those other strategies?
Well, I see the book because of my own experience, my personal experience. It really is something that immediately gives you that authority status. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to talk about it. You are the author of a book and you are an authority. That is that long-standing status that a book gives you instantly, and it definitely sets you apart. You can have some online courses and different things, and often the wordings get mixed up and people may or may not understand how yours is different. In the book, you are describing and talking on a one-on-one basis to the reader, and they really get to know, like, and trust you. And then they can choose to want to connect with you. So that is how I like to take my clients through writing their book. It's this real instant establishing of authority. You don't need to say, I am, an MBA, I have these credentials, those credentials. The book does give you the credentials. So it's very powerful, in my opinion.
I love that. Well, it's interesting because oftentimes I imagine that you see this in your practice. So one thing that sometimes comes up for coaches or guides, experts, is like the market is saturated, right? So I don't actually believe that the market is saturated, but I can imagine that there are probably people who feel like there's so many books out there. How is mine going to make a difference? And what would you say to someone who might be having that thought? Maybe they want to write a book, but they're like, there's thousands of other books on this topic. What am I going to add that might be unique and different?
And that is an absolutely fantastic question. Thank you for asking that, Kadidja, because people misunderstand that when they write a book, they need to write it specifically to an audience they wish to connect with, an audience they want to share their expertise and knowledge with, and an audience they want to draw to them. So the book is not a generic piece of information with a title on a topic that is designed for everybody. You cannot connect and attract everybody from a marketing perspective. You need to be specific. So with a very unique title and topic of your book, you are standing out. Now, I have experienced that when there is a room full of networking business owners, and there might be 2 or 3 accountants, just for an example, right off the top of my head, in that room, and they stand up and talk about what they do. The accountant that stands up and says, by the way, I have written this book and I'm explaining such and such in here on page 57. If you would like one, I'm very happy to give it to you. Which one do you think people are going to flock to?
No, I totally get that. And you know what's so powerful about it too is that one of the things that comes up with clients is, there's so many different marketing strategies. And I know I do have a lot of people in my world who are exhausted with social media. So would you agree that perhaps a book is an alternate way to, maybe if certain methods don't appeal to you, maybe you feel more introverted or reflective, that a book might be a great avenue for them?
Absolutely. As I said earlier, through the book, the people can get to know you without you having to talk about yourself. You're talking in your book about yourself. So then it comes down to, and that is part of the program, for example, that I offer, we also go through the steps how you're going to promote your book, how you're going to let people know about it. And you can do that in very specific ways without being out there, without having to talk about it, without feeling like, oh, I'm being salesy, I'm doing too much promoting myself if the person is a bit more introverted. But you can do that on a very, very powerful, professional way. And that is something that is part of it, which often, people are not thinking about when they are writing in a more traditional way. So yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, one thing I haven't asked you is can you talk to us a little bit about the cost to self-publish a book? If you can talk a little bit about that compared with going a traditional publishing route.
So there's a huge variety. The traditional way, there are 2 ways. So you have publishing houses these days that will charge you a certain amount, depending on what, how established they are. Hay House is one of them, for example. And then there are publishers out there still where you need to apply to be accepted. Those types of publishing houses, I know that from personal experience with a client, he was set on wanting to be published and get paid straight away for his books. Those types of publishing houses, they demand a certain amount of things that you have in place. One of them is a huge social media following, which this particular coach did not have. So there are prerequisites for those types of publishing houses. When you are self-publishing, there is, from the perspective of the publishing part itself, no cost involved. Amazon is fantastic. They give us all the tools you need for publishing. It is really wonderful, and all of that is free. And they pay you, they give you your royalties with a small component that you leave for them for the actual printing, which happens on demand. So you don't have to either go and buy huge crates full of books that then sit in your shed somewhere if you are not going out there and promoting yourself with your book physically. And also you don't have to carry the books around with you each time. Sure. So yes, so there are different ways of doing that, but the self-publishing, from the publishing component itself, there is no cost as such involved. You're getting paid. Make sure that the account is yours. So there are a lot of levels these days.
Well, it's interesting just because, one of the things that comes up in my practice that people feel concerned about is, their audience size. And what I'm hearing you say is that depending on the route that you go, there's, if you're self-published, you don't need to have a larger audience compared with if you go a particular traditional publishing route, that you might need to have a very large audience. So I imagine that people that are listening probably feel really good about that. So I imagine that might be a misconception. So,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
Now, I was going to say, look, yes, a smaller audience is fine because you can build your audience by having your book and using it in a certain way, using it in a way to attract more people. For example, I mean, that is one way of doing that. And I definitely say that it is possible. The key component here is to write the book, and I used to say it in this way quite often, but it wasn't so well understood. You need to write your book with marketing in mind. Mm-hmm. You've got to think about how you are going to use it. And that is what we start with in my program, for example.
Start your book with marketing in mind. Well, you want to share a little story. So my husband self-published a book about his mom. He's also a coach. But one of the things he was saying that it was just a book from his heart. It had no marketing in mind at the beginning. And it's interesting because he published his book, and then a friend of his went a traditional publishing route. And she later said she wished she had gone the self-publishing route. So I'm hearing a lot of ding dings as I hear you speak.
Yeah. The thing is, people sometimes misunderstand. They think sometimes that the publisher does all the marketing. That is not the case. I mean, some publishers will, but you have to pay for it separately most of the time. And if they do it as part of the package that they offer you, then you're not going to get your royalties back in. So you really need to be very much aware as to what is it you actually want to achieve with a book, and is the publisher that you're looking at really the best option, or is the self-publishing one? That gives you freedom and control.
Yeah, such great things to consider as you're looking to self-publish or go the traditional publishing route. So, okay, your book is in hand, Sigrid. So how do you manifest clients now that your book is in hand?
So we in my program, we would have talked about that before you had the book in hand. You would already know what to do. So like I said, with the first one that I published for myself, for example, I gift wrapped them and sent them to the people that I wanted to work with. I sent them the gift wrapped book with a little letter, with a little note card. And I got in that very—
I love that.
I got 5 people. They got straight back to me and said, "How you know what you're talking about?" They hadn't even read the book, but they could see from having gifted it to them, and seeing that I had a substantial amount of information, they came straight back to me. Another way, of course, is to use it if you want to go onto the speaking circuit and you are a bit more out there, extroverted, and you love talking about things like I do, and you go out there and you talk about it if that's what you wish to do, so people get to know about it, and you can sell the book, of course, that way. There are lots of opportunities, especially internationally, of course, these days, online, like we're doing now, that you can talk and promote about your book and get the clients in that way. You can make it on a long-term basis that you do offer the book in the digital version as a gift together with an event you might hold yourself, and you're bringing clients that way into you because they get to know you on a deeper level by looking at and reading your book that way. So it's a very individual part, but those are a couple of examples that come to mind right now.
Oh, such great examples. And the first thing I thought of when you said that you gift wrapped the book and those people became clients, like one of the things that people worry about is like, I don't want to be salesy and pushy and feel like I'm convincing anyone. And that is completely the opposite of any of those things. And it led to you getting clients. And, I'll say that you're in Brisbane, I'm in California, and I'm not even sure how I found out about you, but I was learning, more about your work and what you do. And we're in different continents and we're doing this interview today. So it just validates everything you're saying about how it opens opportunities for you and people want you to speak in their communities. So such a great topic. I know that you have a free gift for us. Can you tell us a little bit about it, Sigrid?
I've created a PDF that goes through a number of questions to the reader to give an idea as to whether you are ready, whether the time to get started on your book is now. So you can read through that one by one. I think I've got 5 ways to know. Read through that and get that emotion coming up for you. Does that resonate? Are you ready, or are you having some hesitation there? Then you can go and explore, what is that hesitation? What is holding me back? Why am I holding myself back? So that is to help you to know, are you ready for writing, for getting started? And I have that ready to download with the link that I provided.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I hope that you download this free gift. If you have an inkling that a book is inside you or books are inside you, please download this gift. Thank you so much, Sigrid. I so appreciate your passion for helping people get their work and their ideas in the format of a book that they can hold in hand. It's incredibly exciting. And do you have any final thoughts for anyone that's sitting there thinking, I'm ending 2022, I'm thinking about 2023, I've been talking about this book for a while. What do you want to say to them?
It really is about now. Just do it. The longer you wait and hesitate, the more doubts will come up. You've got to break through them and say, no, I know what I'm doing, and I have got book in me, and I write it now. Time is not an issue. You can plan it in detail, and everything just emerges very simply. Just do it.
Beautiful. Just do it so you can manifest clients now and get your work out to more and more people internationally. So thank you so much, Sigrid, for joining us. And I look forward to hearing more about other books that you're creating. Very, very inspiring. So bye, everyone. And until next time.
Thank you.